Cold Nordic winds sweep relentlessly across the jagged fjords of Scandinavia, carrying the scent of salt, pine, and iron as towering cliffs loom over dark, restless waters. In small coastal settlements carved between sea and stone, the steady rhythm of labor fills the air, axes biting into oak, adzes shaping planks, and blacksmith hammers striking glowing iron beneath clouds of steam and smoke. This is the birthplace of the Viking Longship, a marvel of craftsmanship born from necessity, environment, and relentless ambition. Every curve of its hull is carefully designed, its overlapping wooden planks bound together with iron rivets, allowing the vessel to bend with the waves rather than break against them. Light enough to be dragged across land, yet strong enough to survive the fury of the open sea, the Longship reflects the harsh world that created it. Here, survival depends on mastery of nature, and the Vikings respond by turning wood, sail, and steel into an extension of their own will. Along the shoreline, warriors gather in silence as the ship takes form, their presence as disciplined as it is intimidating. Round shields, painted in deep reds, blacks, and yellows, line the vessel sides, serving both as protection and a declaration of identity. At the prow, a carved dragon's head snarls toward the horizon, its purpose twofold: to strike fear into enemies and to guard the crew from unseen spirits believed to dwell within the sea. The shallow draft of the Longship allows it to skim across coastal waters and glide effortlessly into narrow rivers, transforming Europe's waterways into hidden roads of invasion. With a single square sail harnessing the wind and rows of oars cutting through the water in perfect rhythm, the ship becomes a weapon of speed and surprise, capable of appearing without warning and vanishing just as quickly. As the finished Longship is lowered into the icy water, a moment of reverent silence follows. This vessel is more than timber and iron. It is the heart of Viking warfare, exploration, and destiny. It carries not only warriors armed with axes and spears, but their beliefs, fears, and ambitions. With it, they will challenge the boundaries of the known world, trusting in their ship as both shield and sword. When the hull finally meets the sea, ripples spread outward across the fjord, as if history itself has been disturbed. In that instant, the age of the Vikings truly begins, quiet, unstoppable, and moving steadily toward a Europe that has no idea what storms are about to rise from the waves. Morning bells echo softly within the stone walls of a quiet coastal monastery, their peaceful rhythm drifting over fields still heavy with mist. Monks move through their daily prayers, unaware that the calm sea beyond the shoreline is about to become a doorway to terror. From the pale fog, dark shapes slowly emerge, long, narrow silhouettes slicing through the water with unnatural speed. Viking longships advance in silence, their sails lowered, oars dipping in perfect unison. Shield-lined hulls and dragon-headed prows cut toward land like predators closing in on prey. There is no warning horn, no time to raise defenses. By the moment the alarm is shouted, the ships are already scraping against the shore. Warriors leap onto the beach with practiced precision, boots striking wet sand as axes and swords flash in the rising light. Their battle cries shatter the stillness, rolling across the coast like thunder, striking fear into every soul that hears them. Villagers flee in panic as wooden homes are set ablaze, smoke spiraling into the sky as screams mix with the crackle of fire. Monastery doors are smashed open, sacred halls violated in moments as gold, silver, and illuminated manuscripts are torn from altars and shelves. The Vikings move fast, ruthlessly efficient, knowing that speed is their greatest weapon. Resistance is crushed almost instantly, defenders overwhelmed before they can even form ranks. The terror does not end at the shoreline. Rivers become invasion routes, carrying longships deep into the heart of Europe. Where walls and armies once offered protection, water now delivers the enemy directly into undefended towns. Kings and lords receive news of attacks too late, their forces scattered and slow to respond. By the time soldiers gather, the raiders are already retreating, their ships loaded with plunder, slipping back into the fog as if they were never there. Across England, Francia, and Ireland, fear spreads from coast to countryside. Churches pray not for victory, but for survival, as the sea itself becomes a symbol of doom. With every raid, the legend of the Vikings grows darker and more powerful. Whispers travel faster than armies, telling of men who fear neither God nor king, who arrive with the tide and vanish with the dawn. The Longship transforms the ocean into a battlefield, erasing the illusion of safety behind walls and distance. Europe learns a brutal lesson: no shore is beyond reach, no river too small, no sanctuary truly safe. The waves no longer bring only trade and travelers, they carry war, and with it, the relentless shadow of the north. The age of sudden raids slowly evolves into something far more permanent, as the Vikings begin to understand that true power lies not only in plunder, but in control. Longships that once carried only warriors now return filled with families, livestock, tools, and the promise of settlement. Coastal camps transform into fortified towns, and temporary strongholds become lasting centers of influence. The Vikings no longer strike and disappear. They stay, claim land, and reshape it to their will. In England, vast territories fall under Norse rule, forming what becomes known as the Danelaw, where Viking customs, laws, and language take root. Here, Scandinavian leaders rule as kings, collecting tribute and enforcing order, blending their authority with the land they once terrorized. Across the Channel, Viking warriors settle along the Seine, their presence so powerful that the Frankish king ultimately grants them land in exchange for peace. These Norse settlers become the Normans, transforming from feared raiders into disciplined rulers and skilled administrators. Their identity changes, but their ambition does not fade. Viking longships continue to serve as lifelines of power, transporting soldiers, trade goods, and messages between growing territories. In Ireland, Norse-founded cities emerge as major trading hubs, connecting Europe to distant markets. To the east, Viking explorers and warriors navigate river systems stretching deep into the heart of the continent, reaching Byzantium and beyond, where they serve as elite mercenaries and traders, feared and respected in equal measure. As the Vikings rule, they adapt. They learn local languages, intermarry with native populations, and adopt Christianity, not as surrender, but as strategy. Pagan rituals give way to churches, yet the warrior spirit remains unchanged. Laws are written, alliances are forged, and Viking leaders become kings, dukes, and nobles. What began as waves of destruction becomes a force of transformation, reshaping politics, borders, and identities. The longship continues to carry more than steel and wood. It carries culture, law, and influence across seas and rivers. Europe is no longer simply defending itself. It is being rewritten by the descendants of those who once arrived only to raid. As centuries pass, the roar of oars and the clash of shields slowly fade from Europe's shores, yet the legacy of the Viking longship remains deeply embedded in history. The age of conquest ends, not with a single battle, but through gradual change, as Viking warriors settle permanently into the lands they once invaded. Their descendants become farmers, traders, nobles, and kings, woven into the fabric of European society. Borders stabilize, kingdoms strengthen, and the sea that once carried terror begins to serve commerce and exploration. Still, beneath this calm surface, the influence of the Vikings endures, shaping the course of nations long after their longships cease to dominate the waves. The design of the longship itself becomes one of the Vikings' greatest gifts to the future. Its sleek, balanced hull and advanced construction techniques influence shipbuilding across Europe, setting new standards for speed, maneuverability, and endurance. Maritime powers study and adapt these innovations, laying the groundwork for later naval expansion and global exploration. The Vikings proved that the sea was not a barrier, but a pathway, and their mastery of it forever changed how civilizations viewed the world. From the North Sea to the Mediterranean, echoes of their naval expertise continue to guide the evolution of warfare, trade, and discovery. Beyond technology, the Vikings leave an indelible mark on culture and identity. Languages absorb Norse words, place names preserve their presence, and legal systems reflect their customs of law and assembly. The Normans, descendants of Viking settlers, go on to reshape England and parts of Europe through conquest and governance, carrying the Viking spirit into a new age. Stories of gods, heroes, and warriors survive in sagas and legends, inspiring generations with tales of courage, brutality, and ambition. Even as Christianity replaces the old beliefs, the myths of Odin, Thor, and the great sea voyages remain alive in memory and art. Today, Viking longships rest in museums, their wooden frames silent but powerful, preserved as symbols of a time when mastery of the sea meant mastery of the world. They remind us that the Vikings did not conquer Europe through sheer numbers, but through innovation, adaptability, and an unyielding will. The waves that once carried war now reflect the sky in peace, yet history still remembers their rhythm. In every coastline reshaped by trade, every kingdom born from conquest, and every ship that dares to cross unknown waters, the spirit of the longship endures. The waves have calmed, but the legacy of the Vikings continues to move beneath the surface of history, unstoppable and eternal.